kids being bullied, sometimes to death.
Holding its second summit to combat bullying. It is a nationwide problem.
Found 42% of kids have been bullied while surfing the web.
Tonight, did the school do enough to protect her from the bullying?
It's heartbreaking.
Police say there is zero tolerance for this.
Suicide, often referred to as a permanent solution to a temporary problem. It's one of those subjects that no one likes to talk about, and it's no fun for anybody. It seems that we hear more and more about suicide and bullying every day. But the question is, how does it affect the people left behind?
I would say for the overwhelming majority of my life, it hadn't impacted it at all. I really had not known anyone who had been down that road and had not given it a great deal of thought, was aware of it, but had not given it a great deal of thought. Now, over the last 3 to 5 years, unfortunately, both here at our school, within our school community, and in my own, personal journey of life, I've unfortunately encountered it now more than I'd like to. And the impact is always, I think, very reflective as to, how does a person get to that point? Reflective in terms of what might I or what might we, if it's a school, could have done differently to have had this situation be avoided.
You feel like, it's not that person that you know by that name. You feel like it's someone else that just happens to have that same name. And then eventually, as the minutes pass and the hours start to pass and it goes on and on, it starts to feel more and more real, and the reality starts to sink in that that person's gone and you're never going to see them again. Because
it's one of those things that can't be turned around. If somebody loses their job, if somebody gets divorced, there are a lot of things in life that aren't good, they're bad, but you can turn back and you can recover and you can move forward. That's not the way it works with suicide. So I think my first thought is always one of deep sadness.
There's just all these emotions that come over you. Like, you feel mad, you're obviously hurt, you're sad, and you feel a little bit guilty at the same time because you feel like you could have done something.
As of today, suicide stands as the third leading cause of death for teens in America. Along with suicide, bullying is another issue on the uprise. But why has the amount of bullying escalated in the past 10 years?
It comes back to a lot of factors, like social network being one of them. People are finding more and more ways to, unfortunately, harass people. So, while I think the days of the schoolyard bully is starting to, his or her days are numbered. At the same time, it's starting to, the cyberbully is definitely up on the uprise. Like here at my school, we don't see a lot of schoolyard bullies, but there's definitely still the issue of the online bully.
I feel like in the growing tide, people are just being more rude and hateful. It's like people say it's easier to be rude than nice. And I do believe social media has something to do with it because you are able to cyberbully. You're allowed to sit behind a computer and just insult somebody for no reason. You don't know their story, but you can just judge them from the cover.
I feel like the reason people bully is definitely power. They want to feel like they're higher up. They want to feel like, I feel like they want respect, and the way that they're going after that respect is not in a desirable way.
I think any kind of policy is always only as good as the community that derives that policy. It's only as good as the people that want to uphold the policy. I'm not a policy person because I don't think a policy's ever solved a problem. People solve problems, not policies. And so we obviously have to have some policies. We have policies at Roncalli, but I will tell you we have probably fewer policies than most schools because I just don't think policies solve problems. People solve problems.
Every day we hear more and more about bullying and suicide. And now, as students and teachers become more aware of these subjects, what actions are they taking to help prevent it from happening in their communities?
Don't signal someone out because of something that they have or they don't have or something like that. The breaking down of, classes, like the class system, like there's the jocks and there's the emos, and, all that, like getting rid of that. Just having one common, you're a student. Anybody can hang out with anybody. You can have a jock hanging out with the band kid. You can have a choir kid hanging out with the popular kids in school, the breaking down those barriers is a very important part that could help prevent suicide.
Since, unfortunately, our community has been touched by suicide, I think we've become much more deliberate, much more direct And so we do have, a subcommittee of teachers, a subcommittee of kids. It's a weekly agenda item on our administrative team meeting. It's a weekly agenda item. I would not say suicide, but I would say mental health awareness, of which we believe suicide falls right in there. So it has become now a very clear focus of what we do.
In my experience, I've had a lot of teachers that I can talk to, but I feel like a lot of teachers aren't open enough with their students, and their students feel like they can't talk to them. More people need to be open to talk to somebody if they need to, and not judgmental at all, but just if you feel like someone's not having a good day, just like stop them, talk to them, and just be like, hey, what's going on? And just like let them know that you're there for them if they need to talk.
Nowadays, there is another element added to bullying known as cyberbullying. With social networking, both bullying and suicide have become more public. But now, how has social networking changed the school atmosphere?
With these social networking sites, well, they're for social networking. That's the really big thing is, we go at, I don't really think we even think about it as social networking. We think about it as just talking with our friends online, posting pictures and sharing with our friends. Social networking, was really just, networking with your friends. I think of that more of the production value, and I think that's what it started out as when it first, started gaining momentum, back in 2005, 2006 area.
I think we now obviously know with today's communication tools, the internet and social media, it obviously becomes more in our face than it was 25 years ago when you couldn't. The communication systems weren't what they were. My guess is there was a fair amount of suicide 25 years ago. Nobody ever heard about it, If it happened, the immediate family, some friends, but it didn't get posted on Facebook, it didn't go to Twitter, it didn't go on the internet.
As society grows more aware of the subjects, students are finding more ways to help raise awareness for bullying and suicide in schools. But what is it that motivates these people to help raise awareness?
I have my fair share of friends who are, going through this depression and stuff like that, and it's making sure they live to another day. That's my motivation, is to make sure I don't lose another friend.
I think society is allowing mental health issues to come out of the closet and not be so taboo. And so if someone says I'm depressed, if someone says I'm addicted, if someone says I'm struggling with my emotions, it used to feel you were a weak person, or the old saying was just suck it up and get through it. Well, that's not the response that a person who is deep in depression needs. That's not the response that a person stuck in addiction needs. And I think society is starting to figure out that the old suck it up and get through it is not the response. And I think that's a good thing.
If you do feel like hurting yourself, and if you do feel like there's no way out other than to kill yourself, talk to somebody, because people will listen. You just have to find the right people. They will listen to you. I mean, if anybody feels like they need to talk to me, I will listen, because I've been through it before. I've seen what it can do to people, and it's horrible.
Express how you feel about the situation. Talk about it, how you're being bullied, what's the cause of it. That way we can move forward with helping people, getting them out of that situation. Like my friends, my family, they got me out of Martinsville. They got me here. That's what I recommend. Get out.
It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a student, teacher, or faculty member, you have the power to make a difference. Together, as a school body, we have the chance to put an end to bullying, because what it comes down to is making sure that somebody lives to see another day.